Many were wondering how I would manage to fit 4 donuts into my mouth. Well, I also got this Tim Hortons Irish cold cream brew thing. It's so gross. I'm not drinking that. That's disgusting. But here's how. Got Tim Hortons donuts, honey dip, chocolate. Now, got 2 tidbits. Got 1, 2. So we have 4 donuts. And let's begin. Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco dishing out on movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again to review not Twin Peaks. It should be Twin Peaks. This should be Twin Peaks season 2.5. But it's not. It's Queen of Hearts, a Twin Peaks fan film, Act 4. And I have been waiting and anticipating this act for a while, ready to just stuff my face and celebrate Twin Peaks and see what's going to happen next, because I knew, see, this is why I didn't really criticize that much in the past parts. I didn't criticize things like really harshly, because I knew that things that I didn't like would be corrected. I knew that things would pay off. I knew that, because that's the thing with TV shows in general, is that you watch an episode and you could have a huge complaint. And I won't talk about specifics, because there's so many specifics in this day and age that it would probably make my head explode like in Scanners. But you'll have a problem with an episode, and next week you might not. There's been plenty of shows where I've stopped watching an entire show just because one episode pissed me off so much, and then I'll go back like a year later and go, oh shit, that it actually worked out and it got really good. Like Hell on Wheels season 3, for instance. I quit watching that and then I regretted it a year later and started back up again, and only to regret it again after the show got terrible again. Well, every part has been great, but this part is really fantastic. I mean, this part is the best of the best. It's non-stop fan service. It's not like fan service like in a bad way, where they're just desperate whores, like, the people who made Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, aka Give Us Money Fanboys .com. That's what that movie was. But this was just non-stop action-packed awesomeness that every Twin Peaks fan would love. I mean, you get to see so many cool things, so many cool characters, and it really, this was the perfect part so far. I would say this is an A+. This is the best part. So far, how I would rank the acts, even though it's supposed to be one movie, I would rank Act 4 as number 1, then Act 1, then Act 2, then Act 3. Probably. And they're all really close together because they're all really good. But this part is really the best. And it's funny because let's get into spoilers, because that's enough of talking broadly without spoiling. In this A+ part, it starts off, and I knew that I was going to love it, because it starts off, and oh god, oh no, that makes me sound really perverted when I say, okay, let's rephrase it. It starts off, specifically, it starts off with all this stuff that happens without any dialogue, and it's this one character, Caroline, walking around the house, but just the way that it's shot, it looked a lot like a Hitchcock film. And right off the bat, I knew that I was going to love it because I love sequences in movies without dialogue. And it immediately starts off with one, and there's no cuts. There's no like, okay, we have to cut that really fast. It's just very long, nice takes, and it had some really good moments like that throughout the episode where there wasn't any dialogue, and it was just pure cinema on YouTube, and that's what I really like, because nowadays they don't do that anymore. Jamie Lee Curtis even talked about it when she's doing her little Halloween commentary, talking about how they just cut, 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 cut. You got this Edgar Wright directing style, this editing style, where it's like they got ADD and they just cut, 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 cut. Like, oh, someone's going to the bathroom for a split second. I mean, how is that even possible to go to the bathroom for just half a second? Like, how is that humanly possible? I don't think anyone's able to actually do that. It's like in A Clockwork Orange, where they have the full. I'm talking too much about going to the bathroom now, but they do that for everything though nowadays. It's like you can't have any moments that have no sound it's just music with things happening. It's just everything is dialogue, and the dialogue is terrible. And let's not even talk about the dialogue. But in this, it's like they weren't afraid to have moments where there wasn't dialogue, and that's something that was really awesome about this part specifically. And I love the structure of the episode. I mean, the act, because you have Cooper with his little thing, his little tragedy. You have Annie with her little tragedy. And the way that they're paralleling each other, it's a really nice parallel. And it really makes their relationship story in season 2 a lot better. Because let's be honest, in season 2, Cooper was supposed to hook up with Audrey Horne, and that's not even like that. That's something that really pisses me off. Like that is something that I will never forgive Laura Flynn Boyle for destroying that story. Like, God, what a terrible tragedy that is. But this actually makes it better. This helps a little bit. It's like putting a Band-Aid on the wound, because this makes it like, okay, it makes sense. You have these two characters who went through these tragedies, and then they end up getting together, and then they end up getting split up. It's a tragic love story. It's a good love story. And so I love the structure of this episode, the plot structure, because really there wasn't that much Cooper in this episode, but there was just enough like sprinkling. It's not like in The Return where it's just, a guy walking around and he's got to go to the bathroom and he's holding his crotch, and then an employee he works with helps him get to the bathroom. I mean, it's not like that type of nonsense. It's actual story here. And and so specifically, Annie, she goes into the Black Lodge, and I will say at the beginning, I forgot about this a little bit. There is a little cliche line where she says, like, if I go in the Black Lodge, they'll hurt you, and so I know what I have to do. I've heard that line a lot, but that's fine. I mean, I forgot about it, so it's not important. And it's true. I mean, it's true. Sometimes you just have to say something, even if it does sound cliche. That sounds funny. And she goes into the Black Lodge, and then she enters a curtained room, and she goes into this like alternate universe or vision of her past. And that was really entertaining, that whole segment. It sort of reminded me of A Christmas Carol a little bit. It sort of reminded me of, with some of the later stuff with her and her stepdad, which was I'll t- I'll talk about that later. Uh, that reminded me of the soap opera that was that was in Twin Peaks, the one that was playing on the television, and I love that part. I love the whole. I mean, this act is just so good. There's so many things you could do an hour-long discussion just hashing out all the specific awesome parts. Uh, so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but we get to see Annie's father and her mother. I mean her stepfather, and then and we get to see her boyfriend Aaron, and her boyfriend is a douchebag to the highest degree. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's weird. He's creepy at one point. He's very weird, and what makes him even creepier is they dressed him up. Well, I hope he dressed himself up, but I hope Annie's stepfather didn't dress him up. Dressed him up as Fred from Scooby Doo, and it was funny because after this whole evening with Annie, and where he's like trying to get with her, and he's pressuring her, and then he has dinner with her. After all that, this whole tumultuous evening, eventful evening, he's alone on his bed, and he's still got that scarf on, and he's still sitting there like that, like he's just. He was a weird character, but that's the cool thing about this part was that this act was essentially part 18 of Twin Peaks: The Return, but done well. To where part 18 of Twin Peaks, let me explain to you what I thought about that, because I never reviewed The Return because Safi didn't watch it with me. I wanted to review it with her, not just talk alone like I always do. Part 18, I really hated with a burning passion when I first saw it. I hated part 18. And I hated it so much that, like, I was considering, like, never watching Twin Peaks again because it was just so bad, and it was so irritating and unsatisfying and stupid and pathetic and boring and dull and stupid and it just, oh god, ugh. And then I watched it again a few years later, 2 years later specifically, and I loved it. And I thought, oh, this is actually a really good part because it reminds me of Lost Highway, which I watched after I finished The Return, and and Lost Highway is my favorite Lynch film, so anything that reminds me of Lost Highway I automatically love. And I thought it's a great horror episode, and it's nice because it feels a lot more like Twin Peaks than the rest of the season. That's for damn sure. But now that I've seen this part, this Act 4 of Queen of Hearts, I changed my mind again. That episode is garbage on a stick. This act really shows you how that story should have been handled, because this is dark and light at the same time. There's lots of quote unquote concrete storylines, but also a lot of abstractions. Whereas the part 18 was nothing but abstraction. And another thing is this act had a lot more characters than part 18, but there were all these hints throughout it, like the Gateway Lodge. There are all these little hints that something eerie is up. Something is going on underneath the surface. Very ominous feeling because she's in the lodge, obviously. And so I love that because that is how part 18 really, really should have been. I mean, part 18 had a couple of hints, but not really enough to really, really work. So this really was part 18, but good. And when Lynch was writing Twin Peaks: The Return, he probably should have gotten Cameron to consult for part 18 or something, probably the whole season, but that would probably hurt his ego, so wouldn't want to do that. So I thought this was really good, and then she, after she's pressured by her mean boyfriend Aaron, she goes home, and that's not the worst part. She gets pressured by her fucking stepfather, and her stepfather looks like John Goodman. But I knew what he was doing there, because what he was doing was, it was another parallel, because Laura obviously was abused by her father, and so now you have Annie's stepfather, and he wants to abuse her, and so I thought that was really good. That was smart storytelling, and it was creepy and funny at the same time. And let's be clear, it was funny because it reminded me of that soap opera. I thought, I gotta mention that soap opera from Twin Peaks that was playing on the TV, specifically for that scene. And then she has this little talk with her boyfriend Aaron again, because she's been kicked out of the house. And of course, Aaron, that's when he gets really weird and really like, okay, Aaron, how dare you? And he's complete trash. And she dumps him, and he's like, good, I wasted 2 years on you. But there was one line that, I just, for this whole movie, I've been able to imagine Heather Graham kind of in the role. Like, I could definitely imagine her playing the part. But actually, this actress, Madison Bates, I believe her name is, she's actually superior to Heather Graham in that department, in this movie. I mean, but there was one line where she called him a little dick mama's boy, and just imagining like Heather Graham saying that, like I just kind of cringed, because like I don't think that Heather Graham would ever be able to say that without, like, I don't know, like I don't know, I just can't ever imagine. Maybe if she gets a Cameo account, someone can pay her to say that. Can say happy birthday, little dick mama's boy. But that was really weird, that line. In terms of like, I guess it was fine. And of course she commits suicide. She tries to commit suicide, and then we see Caroline, and she's been stabbed, and then there's this weird thing that happens, this VHS type of effect, and it gets really weird. It's very emotional, nice payoff moment, really a climactic moment. And they're back in the Black Lodge, and we get to see Cooper meet Annie in the Black Lodge. That was cool. But probably my favorite moment of the whole part was when Laura appeared, and Laura said something I can't remember, because I've got so many things spinning around in my head right now thinking about this act, but she did a really good job. She really reminded me a lot of Laura, and so I thought that was cool, and I hope that we get to see more of her in the next part. And then Annie also comes face to face with Caroline, and I got really scared because Caroline looks like so much. When you put those, when you put them next to each other, like I never thought how different. Like Caroline is so much taller than Annie, that like I was scared that like Caroline was gonna start strangling her and just like punch her head in, and like smash her head like the Woodsman, because she it kind of scared me. Like Annie is like this small person, and like Caroline, she is like a titan up against Annie. And so I was glad that they didn't get in a fight or anything like that, because that would not have ended well. And then of course she's out of the lodge, and that is where she is in the forest, and she's got to tell people that the good Cooper is in the lodge, the bad Cooper is out, and she's in front of Jack Rabbit's palace. That was really good, and of course that's where it ends. And I can't wait to see what happens in the last act, because this has really been a good Twin Peaks film. And I hope that other people get inspired and that they do their own campaigns and that they make their own Twin Peaks movies, because we need more Twin Peaks. And if David Lynch isn't going to make it, then his fans can make it for him. And it's just been proven now at this point. It's been proven that it can be done. Queen of Hearts is the precedent now for Twin Peaks. And if we get any season 4 down the line, who knows, it probably won't be as good as Queen of Hearts. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought about Act 4, because I don't know, maybe someone didn't like it somewhere, or maybe it's just they're biased against it, which that happens with a lot of movies nowadays too, is that people will just be completely biased against it and they won't have an open mind, because I wasn't completely sold on this movie at all. I just would have rather have had a good season 3, but then I saw this and I'm like, oh, this is actually better than season 3. And we'll talk about the rankings of the seasons and the movies and everything at the very end too. So, and then please subscribe if you'd like to see more Twin Peaks videos. Goodbye everybody, see you soon.